Folks, hello and welcome to Tavern Chat. I'm your host, Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR. So, there was an update on Unearthed Arcana, overview and weapons, player's handbook, playtest 5, yada, yada, yada. I'm watching Joe the Lawyer's video on this. I'm going to put a link to Joe's video in my show notes. I'll link to the original video here too. Joe does not show the video. He goes over by the transcript. Joe started from this section, and I was so floored by Joe's reaction. I stopped Joe's video and said, I am going to let you get my pure reaction. I haven't even listened to this yet. I just found the spot, got the clip ready to go. We are going to get my live reaction to what I suspect is going to be more Wizards of the Coast bullshit. I think that's always fun. It's always dandy, right? So let's just jump right into it. Let's hear what they have to say.
That's a great thing for like the overview of all of this is, I was looking at this UA and you see all these design notes and you are literally guiding people as to how this is 5th edition.
How is this 5th edition? Remember, it's not 6th edition. It's not even 5.5. It's going to be, 5th edition revised, 5th edition everlasting.
This is like compatible with the 2014 Player's Handbook and the new Player's Handbook.
Remember, 10 years apart, but not a new edition. Now, I call this, when they announced that they were coming out with a new edition, I was like, they're not going to change the core rules. They're not going to change the mechanics, but they are going to change the fluff. So what they're basically going to be telling you now is if you want to play D&D going forward with new players or current players, your old books are going to be irrelevant. It doesn't mean that you can't play old adventures with the new material, but your old books are going to be pretty much useless. But hey, let's find out why.
And these notes provide kind of a map for you to see, okay, what's different from the 2014 Player's Handbook, and then whatever ends up getting adopted from the playtest and making it into the 2024 Player's Handbook will then go through, in our development process, a compatibility check
Compatibility check. So what is this? What is a compatibility check? Right? Is this like a computer program? That's what it sounds like, right? It sounds like what we need a compatibility. It's like, well, we got Word. I know you're used to using your Word for Windows, and you're used to the old doc format. So now it's docx. So you could still use your old doc format, but your old version of Word won't be able to open up a docx format kind of deal, right? So the compatibility is not, does not sound like it's going to be both ways.
Will then, as we finalize, ensure that the new material works with your 5th edition books that you already have.
There you go. So the new material will be usable with your old adventures, right? But it does not mean that your old rule books, your old core rule books, are going to be compatible with the new books. So it's not a new edition, it's a new fucking edition.
Now, people might be wondering, how can you change a class dramatically and it still work with the books that are already in print?
Again, I'm gathering when he's saying the books are already in print, he's not talking about your core. He's not saying the old Player's Handbook will be compatible with the new Player's Handbook. What he's saying is that the new Player's Handbook will be usable with prior material, prior adventures. Not that Wizards of the Coast puts out too many adventures, but
here's how. We have designed all of the adventures for 5th edition so that the adventurers actually are not aware of how a class functions on the inside.
All right. I'm just going to take a step back because that's either the stupidest thing I have ever heard, because adventures themselves are not aware. It's the DM that's aware, right? The adventures don't run themselves, unless we're talking maybe AI. Maybe we're talking the new VTT. Maybe that will run itself. But well, the adventures themselves are agnostic as to how the class is run. It's going to be a huge balance issue because it seems like they're going to be boosting the power for 5e reviled, 5e resurrected, 5e regurgitated, 5e renewed, 5e revisioned.
Class in 5th edition is a piece of content. It's not a piece of the system.
So you can basically, classes are fluff. They're not part of the system. The system is the crunch. So you can take all the classes that you currently know and how they play and how you expect 5e to play out and throw that away, because the 5e that you know will not be the 5e that you will see in 2024. But remember, it's not a new edition because the crunch isn't changing. Okay? The mechanics aren't changing, but they are changing everything else. So this is why, yes, you'll be required to buy new books.
And so as long as we have maintained the system and continue to maintain it in the 2024 rule books, you will be able to use new content options with the books you already have.
You will be able to use new content options with the books you already have. So new content options is the new content, right? It's the new player's handbook. You can use your new player's handbook with, I don't know, was it Mordenkainen's or any of the was it Saltmar? They've re-envisioned a few titles. It'll be compatible, usable with their prior works, but it's not going to be compatible with the prior core rule books.
We will delve more into that the closer we get to the release of those books. The reason why it's not a focus in, our conversations right now is first we need to see in the playtest process which new options are delighting people and are actually going to make it into the new rule books.
Mm-hmm.
And then we will make sure, all right, in how the final implementation is realized, we will then ensure that compatibility is protected. And
compatibility is protected. They knew what they did when they went from 3 to 4E. They were trying to get rid of the OGL. That was a fucking failure and a half. Okay? They tried to get rid of the OGL with 5E earlier this year. That fucking failed horribly. So now, what are they trying to do? Well, they are going to require you, essentially, to buy the new rule books, because the fighter class is not going to be the fighter class. The magic user class is not going to be the magic user. The cleric's not going to be the cleric. None of these classes are going to operate the same way they did before. However, they will still be usable, compatible with the adventures that you have from earlier, but they won't be compatible with their prior versions. Okay? That's what's coming out here.
Then once we're there, I'm sure you and I will have an entire video or several videos about here's how these puzzle pieces are going to snap together for you.
Right.
But in the meantime, these design notes are a great way to sort of have a little map of the territory and see, okay, here are the main things that are different between this playtest version and the 2014 version of the same game element.
Yeah, I very much like the inclusion of those two.
So, but yeah, I know, Sadie. My cat wants full attention. Here's the thing. 2014 books are not going to be able to, your core books from 2014 are not going to be compatible with the core books from 2024. The power curve is not going to match anymore. And those older adventures are probably not going to line up very well because they've already revealed that they intentionally obscured how to balance encounters from third-party publishers because they didn't want them doing it effectively. Well, guess what? That balance is going to be off because the new classes, the new versions of the classes, are most likely going to be overpowered compared to their prior versions. So, there you go. That's a little 5e insight for you. All right, folks. Tomorrow night there's a live stream at 8 p.m. And it looks like there's a live stream on Thursday night at 8 p.m. with a very, very special guest. It was supposed to be tomorrow. It's moving to Thursday. I'm holding off on naming the special guest because I haven't gotten 100% confirmation yet. But when I get the 100% confirmation from Mike, we'll announce it. Other than that, be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice, roll them well. I will be back again tomorrow, 8 p.m.